Hey, good morning. Welcome to the PuckHeads. I'm Dana Lane, and we have a new lineup starting today for the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. Andrew McInnis joins us, and Andrew, if you know of Andrew, he's done some stuff with Ian Cameron, which is a good friend of mine, and I know that if Ian wants him on to do videos, I know he knows his stuff, so I look forward to hearing from him. And Andrew, welcome aboard, and tell us a little bit about yourself and why the passion for the National Hockey League.
Well, thanks a lot, Dana. It's great to be here. I watched a lot of your guys' episodes with Mike, and it's great. You know, we're kind of the hockey guys here at SBR, so we got to stick together and look out for each other and just talk about some hockey here in the NHL playoffs. It's been a great round. Personally, for myself, I've always been relatively into the sports betting industry, but over the past, I'd say, 1 or 2 years, I really took it really seriously, and it's become more of a passion of mine. Being a Canadian, I feel like I've fallen into the niche market of hockey as much as, basketball or football, where the Americans can kind of fall into that a little bit easier, whereas hockey can kind of be an easier passion for mine as well, and the exposure. Not to mention, I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and just about a 15-minute ride from where I'm literally sitting right now is where Sidney Crosby was born and raised in Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. So seeing him advance to the conference finals made me smile, and I've just been loving these playoffs so far. So just an all-over hockey fan, and looking forward to the rest of these playoffs.
Well, Andrew, let me ask you, you're not one of these Canadians that jump on whatever Canadian team is left in the playoffs, right? Because I hear people in Montreal, rooting for Ottawa now because they're left in the playoffs. I mean, you stick with your team, or do we just try to grab onto Canadian teams or players that grew up 20 minutes from us?
I wouldn't say that 100%, Dana, but I also would say that, I would cheer for Crosby until he's out, right? He's just that top Canadian player for myself. But no, of course not. I have teams that I like and I cheer for. But we've actually been getting a lot of people saying in the comment section to Ian and I that we've actually been cheering too much for Canadian teams. But that's just the way it's been going. Ian and I were very strong on the Edmonton Oilers, and somehow they collapsed. In my opinion, they could have had that series won in 5 or 6. Somehow they go out in 7. So that's just the way it is. But no, to answer your question, I'm just a hockey fan. I see skill when I see it. Definitely, again, like I told you, when I started taking this a little bit more seriously and the sports betting industry and the handicapping, you definitely can't do that. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you that if I'm sitting here with my roommate watching the game, we're going to cheer for the Senators because we're Canadian. Like, why not, right? But as far as betting perspective and from a handicapping route, I'm definitely going to use my mind, not my heart, for sure.
All right, let's get to it. So tonight, Nashville and Anaheim, game 1 from the Honda Center, and just give us your overall feelings. And one thing, from my perspective, as far as trying to choose a side, which is something I'm going to stay away from in game 1, give us your perspective of how you're going to attack it. Because for me, I know that Nashville just got through Anaheim just got through wrapping up their series, and Nashville's been kind of hanging out a little bit. So I want to see what the residue effect is of that. How are you going to attack tonight's series?
Well, like you mentioned, you look at it's kind of 2 different teams. The Predators took care of the Blues a little bit faster. Then the Anaheim Ducks were able to take care of the Oilers. But coming into this series, I'm just looking at the Predators and the way that they've shaped up. Defensively, offensively, with the goaltending of Pecorine, I think they're just all around a little bit more sound than this Anaheim Ducks team. And if you thought that the Edmonton Oilers had speed and they were going to cause trouble for the slow-paced, old veteran team, the Anaheim Ducks, I'll tell you this Predators team is also going to do that as well. And first of all, I'll give a lot of respect to the Anaheim Ducks team. I mean, from what they did and the way that they shut down top players and top lines, and they slowed the pace down and were able to shut down the Edmonton Oilers, that's fantastic hockey. And that last game 7, Dana, that's the kind of hockey that they want to play. Yep. That's the kind of hockey that they want to continue to play throughout the playoffs. I mean, let's face it, you and I can both probably agree that they're not planning on winning 6-5 games every night here in the playoffs. They're trying to win some shutdown hockey. So looking into this series, I just think that Predators have that little extra edge. And the edge to me is defense. That's how I'm attacking this. you look at all the errors the Edmonton Oilers made, it was because the defensemen couldn't get the puck out of the zone. Sure, Connor McDavid probably could have had a stronger series. Certain players took a while to get set up. But I think the defensive edge, Predators have always been sound defensively. Pekka Rinne, take a look here. He had a .951 save percentage in that second round. He played out of his mind. Coming into this series, I just really believe that the Predators have that edge. But overall, looking now into the Anaheim Ducks side, Ryan Getzlaf, Kessler, Silverberg, excuse me, all of them playing so well. I just think that the veteran leadership could carry the Anaheim Ducks, but overall, I'm on this Nashville Predators team 100%. They're sitting at -125 in this the best of 7 series price, but it looks to me that they're actually underdogs tonight here in Game 1.
Yeah, in fact, that is absolutely true. Anaheim is about $1.15 on Game 1, but of course that Nashville is the favorite in the series. And oddly enough, going back into the playoffs, the last time we saw this was when Ottawa and when Boston was actually a favor over Ottawa, which is I'm still trying to get an answer on, because not only did Ottawa beat them 4 straight times in the regular season, but they certainly didn't have any problem in the postseason as well. So I'm trying to get some answers as to why that actually happened, but so far I'm coming up with the blank. So you like Nashville -$1.25 in this series against Anaheim, and does that equate into a Game 1 selection?
Well, I know you mentioned that you're on the sides, Dana, and sometimes with Game 1s, I actually do like to stay off as far as a side and see how things play out. But in my opinion, I actually do feel that the rest from the Predators is actually going to help them. And taking a look, a couple of stats here, Johansson with 9 points, Ellis 9 points, Yossi 8 points, Forsberg 8 points, Subban 7 points. So let's talk about how 3 defensemen are on that top 4 list that I just read for the points, and that really carries the team and the backhand, the blue line of this team. So I just think overall, with the rest, it's going to help the Predators. Sometimes you see in the NBA or NFL, possibly the rest might not be a good thing. I think it'll help this Predators team.
Yeah, and that brings us to the total, which is where I'm on tonight. The total is at 5, shaded to the over, -$1.16. You can find that at Matchbook, where they consistently, if you're betting favorites, they consistently give out the best lines. So we know that you like Nashville in this series. And then, of course, when we're attacking the total, for me, because when there's a bunch of unknowns going into Game 1, that to me spells an over, especially if that line's gone from 5.5 back to 5. Which side are you on as far as the total is concerned?
I would have to agree with you, Dana. I think that the goaltending has been great for both teams, but I do think that this game is going to have a good start to it and a big jump. Both teams are going to be on their edges and really kind of the nerves are going to be there, and they're going to be very excited. So that also trends towards over. You look in the Game 7 for Pittsburgh and Washington, a lot of people had the over in that game. It seemed a little bit split near the end, closing lines, but I would say the same thing for that. It's going to be a Game 1 situation. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Both teams are going to be firing pucks on net left and right, just doing anything to score. And like I said, with the defensemen of the Predators that are just always willing to put pucks on net, Subban, Ellis back there on the blue line, you can expect a lot of action from them tonight.
Yeah, interesting enough, the last time that these two teams met on March 13th, Anaheim had 42 shots on net as well, and I went back and watched that last night, and a lot of dump-ins, trying to get some tips. It seems to kind of be the way teams are going offensively. I've seen Washington do it all year, but still 42 shots in the regular season is kind of unheard of. So it's we'll see how that equates to playoffs. So let's go over to the Eastern Conference Finals real quick, and I don't know what you do with this. I mean, honestly, Pittsburgh is -$3 to win this series. The Penguins are my Stanley Cup winner selection. I had them against Edmonton. I got one left. But I don't have any interest. I mean, I'm sure you don't either, in laying $3 in this series. Do we take a chance on Ottawa at the big plus price, or do we just kind of leave it alone and go from game to game?
I definitely think that this is the kind of thing where, some bettor that wants to try and cash in here would try and hop on that. But anyone that really knows anything about hockey is probably going to stay away from that and think the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to take care of the Ottawa Senators. The way I look at it, Dana, the biggest thing here is how quickly are they going to take care of the Ottawa Senators? That's really the way we have to look at it. It could backfire on me. Ottawa Senators could be going to the Stanley Cup Finals, but game by game is definitely a good process, I would say.
Yeah, and of course you can also get that at $2.85 at 5 dimes, so a little bit better price. I still think that you stay off of that, but certainly if I'm a television executive, and no offense to our friends up north, but the prospect of a Ottawa Nashville final probably is not going to move the broadcast meter too much, but I guess we'll watch it anyway. So as far as we had this discussion yesterday on our radio show about Marc-Andre Fleury, and of course Matt Murray is back and backing him up. From your perspective, and me, I think you sit with Fleury until he says, I'm done. We need to give Matt Murray a start. I mean, can we anticipate any if Marc-Andre Fleury plays well? I think you give him the whole series. I don't think you just hand the reins over to Matt Murray. I think you just let him go.
I couldn't agree more. Last year we see Marc-Andre Fleury go down, and in comes Matt Murray. He steps up, has an excellent playoffs, and they go on and win the Stanley Cup. This year, you look to see what Marc-Andre Fleury did. Look at that great Game 7. 2 goals from the Pittsburgh Penguins, Dana, but I really think that game was stolen by Marc-Andre Fleury with a smile on his face. I mean, he had a great time in that game, and he played out of his mind. He had a great game, and I think he has a huge factor for this Pittsburgh Penguins team. And as much as people are always talking about Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Gensel, he has to be in that picture when you're talking about him. The matchup with him and Craig Anderson right now, it's going to be big, but you know what? I'll try and transition this. I feel like I can segue this for you. Totals are what I'm thinking in this series.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. What do you think about it? I mean, there is some good props, and we'll break down this singular game tomorrow, but there are some props out there. If you think Pittsburgh's going to win, say, in 6 games, I see there's a prop out there right now that they're plus 385. If you think they're going to win 4 in 5 games, they're plus 70, and in 7 games is plus 450. Some pretty juicy numbers there if you're willing to take a shot with. I mean, look, if you bet them to win a game in 6 or 7. If you win one of those, I don't know, by my math, you win money. I don't understand how. I guess if the only way that you can get beat is if they win in, I don't know. It looks like if it's 385 on 6 and 270 on 4 or on 5, I don't see a 4-game sweep prop. But it looks like you could bet all of these and still come out okay, by my math.
Well, I'll tell you, it would definitely take a really big series from Craig Anderson for this series to go any deeper than 5 or 6 games. In my opinion, the Eastern Conference Finals, the way Gary Bettman changed the format, it should have been the Washington Capitals and Pittsburgh Penguins in the conference finals. Let's face it, that's probably the best series that we'll see coming out of the East, and pretty competitive. Although a lot of people that I've spoken to weren't too worried about the Capitals, but they ended up having a great end of the series, couldn't finish things off in 7. But this Pittsburgh Penguins team, like when they stack up against other teams, and you look at the Eastern Conference right now, I feel like the biggest thing, Dana, is just their depth and how everybody contributes in their own individual way. Everyone thought Chris Letang would be an issue. Everyone thought Carl Hagelin getting out would be an issue. Then it was Marc-Andre Fleury, but they continued to battle through that adversity. And anyone that says that hasn't been a factor, isn't really watching these games, because every single game it's someone else making a play and contributing to that team. If you take a look at Jake Gensel, I mean, he's got 14 points, 9 goals.
Yeah.
How young is he? He's playing on a line with Crosby. Crosby's probably been in the league like 10 or 12 years longer than he has.
Yeah, I've said a couple things about that. Number one, the Letang injury. I thought in Game 6 was the first time that injury really hurt Pittsburgh, because I thought that Washington was pretty aggressive on their forecheck, which kept Pittsburgh from transitioning as quickly as they like to. But obviously, they overcame that in Game 7. But one thing about Pittsburgh, right, just a side point on this, it is amazing how they continue to come up with guys like Gensel, considering where they draft every single year. And that's why I said here in Vegas, just because the Golden Knights have the 6th overall pick, big deal. Do your job, roll your sleeves up, and get a kid that's going to be a depth guy this time of year. I mean, you take going back to the Nashville Anaheim series. I mean, this is all about depth. Even the last time that these two teams met, how did Anaheim get the victory? Well, they got the victory because they had more depth, and finally, Patrick Keyes put it home in a shootout. But I thought that they were better on the third line than Nashville was. But you're absolutely right. So let me just get an overall view of this. What you're looking at. I guess we're going to take Nashville minus $1.25. We like Pittsburgh, but we're not willing to lay $2.85, $3 in some spots. Is that the general feeling from you?
Yes, I'm liking the series price on Nashville. I think I'm going to take them on the side tonight as well. I think that Anaheim will be tired, and they've had so much to deal with the Oilers as well. So that'll probably be a play of the video for me. The Nashville on the series, and then definitely taking them tonight as well. I agree with you on the over for that series, Dana, but I think I'll stick with my totals in the Ottawa series for sure with that.
Okay, cool. All right. So that's our the first Puckheads with Andrew McInnis. What we're going to do, I think we both agree on Nashville Anaheim over tonight. It'll be 5 minus $1.16 on Matchbook, $1.20 in some other spots. I'm staying. We'll talk about the individual game tomorrow with Pittsburgh and Ottawa. But for tonight, Nashville and Anaheim over 5. Make sure also to get the SBR every single day. I'll have a write-up on every single one of these games because there's only one game tonight. Unfortunately, my write-up's going to be about Nashville Anaheim over because I'm just not going to jump on the sides. But hang out there every single day. Go to SBR Odds to get the best odds updated as they happen. No other website on the web gives you as much information as SBR. Andrew, thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. Best of luck tonight, and have a profitable playoff series.
My pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.